back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown. Well, Isaac Howard met with the Oilers media yesterday, got his first taste of what it's like to be an Edmonton Oiler. We found out in his media availability yesterday that he prefers to go by Ike Howard, which is a well-known short form of the name Isaac, so it definitely makes sense. And we found out that his nickname is Iceman, so Ike Iceman Howard is the newest Edmonton Oiler, and we found out today that he will wear number 53 for the Edmonton Oilers, Jeff Skinner's former number from last season. So I think that further cements that Jeff Skinner will not be back with the Edmonton Oilers. Didn't really think that was a possibility, but Jeff Skinner still remains out there as an unrestricted free agent at this time. He had a decent season with the Edmonton Oilers, but just did not seem to get on with head coach Chris Knobloch. Oilers insider Bob Stauffer noting that Howard finished third in NCAA goals last season and led the nation in points per game with 1.41. The Oilers moved out a solid prospect in Sam O'Reilly to acquire Isaac Howard. You guys know from my video where I announced the trade, very upset to see Sam O'Reilly go out the door. Big London Knights fan, was really excited to have him be a future Edmonton Oiler, but at the end of the day, you have to give to get, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were not going to settle for a first-round draft pick, so have to watch Sam O'Reilly go out the door, but like I said, wish him the best of luck with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and very, very excited to see what Ike Iceman Howard can do here for the Edmonton Oilers. Bob Stauffer also put out his projected lineup yesterday, which included Howard on the top line with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman. That has the potential to be a very exciting line. He had a second line of Podkolzin, Draisaitl, and Mangiapane, a third line of Frederick, Nuge, and Savoy, a fourth line of Janmark, Henrique, and Kapanen, Curtis Lazar, David Tomasek, the extra forwards there. On defense, Ekholm and Bouchard, Nurse and Wallman, Kulak and Emberson, Troy Stetcher, the number 7 defenseman, and Skinner and Pickard in goal, with a note at the bottom, subject to change. And we think there will be more changes here for the Edmonton Oilers in their next moves. I really think there's a strong chance that Matthias Janmark moves on here. There's also been some talk that we may see Matthias Janmark sent down to Bakersfield if he, of course, clears waivers and the Oilers can't move on from him. Right now, they have a surplus of forwards. Zach Hyman, we believe, is going to be back for Game 1 of the regular season. That's his hope anyway, but if he isn't ready, the Oilers would like to have some reinforcements there, but I don't think Matthias Janmark would be one of those reinforcements, and as we can see from Stauffer's projected lineup here, Lazar and Tomasek would still be there, and there's also a guy not listed here, Noah Philp, who we think is very close to becoming an Edmonton Oiler as well. So the Oilers definitely have the depth here available to them to move on from a couple guys. Adam Henrique's name came up before, but he doesn't want to move his no-move clause, so it's unlikely that Adam Henrique goes anywhere, but I think Matthias Janmark is definitely the name to keep an eye on here for the Edmonton Oilers as the next possible departure. I don't think anything else is going to happen in goal here for the Oilers. I think it's going to be Skinner Pickard at least to start the year. If one of those guys struggles, we may see a more immediate goaltender move, but come next year's trade deadline is when I'm expecting the Oilers to make a goaltending move to further solidify themselves going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But for now, Skinner and Pickard likely, and Howard may get moved around here, but Bob Stauffer, like I said, projecting him to start with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman, which could end up being one of the best lines in the National Hockey League. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves here with Howard, but there's a lot of great potential. Speaking further on David Tomasek, Bob Stauffer also adding this: the biggest wild card for the upcoming season for the Oilers is David Tomasek. Not sure how his game will translate to the NHL. Teams tried to sign him in the spring of 2024 after he led the SHL in goals with 25. He led the SHL last season in points with 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points in 47 games played. So Bob had Tomasek listed as an extra forward in his projected lineup, and we know the Edmonton Oilers would ideally like to get Tomasek into that top 9. So just further cementing the fact that I think we will see Matthias Janmark, if he's not traded, in Bakersfield for this upcoming season. As noted here by @OilerAlert, Bob Stauffer mentioning on Oilers Now that he thinks the Oilers will be proactive with getting Vasily Podkolzin and Jake Wallman locked into extensions this summer. I think that would definitely be the way to go here. We don't want any kind of situation with Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg coming back again. Jake Wallman will be a UFA, but Podkolzin will still be an RFA. So if the Oilers can get some further clarification on their cap hits going forward here, that will definitely help going into the trade deadline this coming season as well. So definitely the smart move here to get Podkolzin and Wallman, two important pieces for the Oilers here, locked up sooner rather than later. And lastly for today, guys, the Edmonton Oilers released the following Oilers jersey numbers today. As I mentioned, Ike Howard will go with number 53, Andrew Mangiapane, number 88, Trent Frederick, number 10, and Curtis Lazar, number 20. Well, that's all the latest here, guys. Let me know your thoughts and predictions going forward here. What do you think the next moves will be for the Edmonton Oilers? What are your projections for Ike, Iceman Howard? What heights do you think he can reach this season, possibly playing with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman? Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.